It is summer, it is hot out. This is a video from personal experience. I've been getting a ton of questions on how to safely skateboard and ride and cruise in hot weather. So this is a video for you to stay safe, be cool, and keep on riding to the best of your ability. We're gonna start off by talking about potential hazards and dangers that you can actually experience when riding outside in hot weather. The most common thing is dehydration. When you're riding outside for longer periods of time, you're sweating. That means that water is leaving your body. And if you don't replenish that water, it can start having negative side effects. Common things it feels like is dry mouth, dizziness, fatigue, headaches, and even muscle cramps. So you might be wondering, what's the big deal with being dehydrated? Well, even with mild symptoms of dehydration, your coordination, balance, and reaction time all decrease, meaning that you're technically more likely to fall when riding your board. Number 2 is heat exhaustion. It predominantly happens when your body starts to overheat, but it hasn't shut down yet. It typically feels like heavy sweating, nausea, having a really fast heartbeat, and skin that feels cool but kind of clammy. The body is signaling you that danger's ahead if you don't cool down, and the danger ahead is number 3, heat stroke. And heat stroke is actually a medical emergency. It happens when your core body temperature rises to dangerous levels, which is about 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and I believe that's roughly 40 degrees Celsius for all my non-American riders. It predominantly feels like having a lot of confusion, having slurred speech, dry skin because your skin actually stops sweating, having a really rapid pulse, and potentially fainting. And the reason that this is very severe is that heat stroke can actually affect your brain, heart, and body in prolonged ways. And if it seriously does not get treated, it can lead to death, which obviously is the most extreme case, but I only say this because it does happen. Now, the 4th thing is having actual burns from hot surfaces. Things like concrete, asphalt, and metal all get to very high temperatures when the sun is coming down on it already in hot heat. If you end up falling on exposed sunlit pavement in like the middle of the day, it's almost like putting yourself on the top of a stove that's already on. You're very likely to actually have burns on your skin, and that's another serious thing. So you might be like, bro, what is going on? I can't like skateboard at all? I can't ride at all? Well, no, these are the worst things that can happen. I'm not saying they're going to every time you get on your board. And there's a lot of things that you can do to actually mitigate the chances of these things happening. So without further ado, we're gonna transition and actually talk about specific tips and things that you can do. So number 1 might seem obvious, but hydration is key. Making sure that you're hydrated before and after especially, but if you're going anywhere that's like longer even than 15 minutes, I recommend still bringing water or some sort of hydration with you. I also personally like liquids that have electrolytes in them. Because you sweat a lot, you're losing a lot of salt. And so by having electrolytes, you're able to keep your salt level still high. So I like things like coconut water or anything like Element or other variations of liquid IV, something that's electrolyte infused or something like that. There's lots of things like that. Those are the best things you want other than just water, but water's also just really good. But just making sure that you're drinking even when you don't feel thirsty. Your pee when you go to the bathroom should not be yellow. If it is yellow, you are very dehydrated. Number 2 is dress smart and not heavy. Wearing lightweight, breathable clothing is by far the best thing that you can do. Try to avoid things that are black or cotton because they typically tend to keep heat or create more of it. And then the other thing is wearing a hat, wearing sunglasses, things like that. I personally wear a lot of long sleeves. I do have tattoos, and for anyone that doesn't know, tattoos actually can fade the more sunlight that you get exposed to over time. So I don't like just putting on gobs and gobs of sunscreen. So I typically, for a longer session, instead of reapplying sunscreen, we'll just put on a lightweight reflective long sleeve shirt. That's another really great option. Any sort of summer like sun shirt, long sleeve things, like there's a lot of different types of them. Those things work perfectly. Now the next step is going to be thinking about when you're going to be riding. Specifically anywhere from 10 to 4 p.m. is when you want to try to avoid as much as possible. So trying to get out on your board in the morning or later on the evening. That's when the sun is gonna be less direct overhead. There's gonna be less UV, so it's not gonna be as harsh on your body, and temperatures typically in those areas are also a little bit cooler. Now, even though I mentioned that I don't always wear a ton of sunscreen because I have long sleeves, I still can be affected with my face, my neck, my legs, stuff like that. So I will still apply sunscreen, and it is something I still generally recommend doing. Anything like SPF 30 should get you there, and just make sure that you reapply if you're out for anywhere longer than like 30 to an hour. Like, definitely gonna wanna apply a little bit more just to avoid sunburning, because sunburning is another common thing that a lot of riders actually get the first time. Obviously, you might be thinking, oh, I'm out in the sun all the time, but that one time you just get burned so badly and you're like, ooh, gosh darn. Yeah, we just want to avoid that. All right, next tip is just looking out and being mindful of your surfaces of where you're skating. This might be kind of obvious, but like I mentioned, there are surfaces that are still going to be hot. Even if you're riding not at the midday, even if you're riding at night, it still could be hot from the day ahead. So I would just make sure that if you're trying to ride a rail or something different, just touch it with your hand slightly and you can get a kind of gist of where you're riding. And if there's anything that you just don't particularly feel comfortable with, then avoid it. That's totally cool. Shaded areas are obviously really good. Anywhere where there's covering or an overhead should be fine, and just in general, a little bit better for you on these hot days. In the last tip that I have for you is listening to your body. Really be in touch with it. Are you feeling a little bit sluggish? Do you feel a cramp coming in? Do you feel just a little bit groggy or a little bit foggy and just not as up to par, so to speak? Then those might be signs of heat exhaustion that could lead to something worse. So please take that initiative. And you know that little voice in your head that's just like, hey bro or gal, why don't we take a pause, get some hydration on, maybe spend some time in the shade, cool down a little bit. That is kind of the last thing I have for you. Just be mindful of your body. Nobody knows your body like you, so be your best advocate. And if you are riding with somebody else and they think that they can just push through, maybe be that friend and just say, hey, let's just take a break and get some water, because that actually can make a really big difference. This, again, was something that viewers like you have addressed and asked me. If there's anything else that you would like to know, please drop a comment down below. As always, my name is Pennyboard Tyler. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your day to watch. It really does mean a lot, and I'll catch you on my next adventure. Peace out, stay cool, and happy cruising. Watch out!